All right. Okay. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, gentlemen. Welcome to Fatherhood Talks. Ladies and gentlemen out there, welcome to Fatherhood Talks. We are having our weekly live show. I am Ron Christopher Osborne Williams. I'm a father of one child. And I kind of get this thing popping. All right. So I'm going to let the rest of the fathers on the panel introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into I'm going to introduce tonight's topic, and then we're going to jump on it. So go ahead, gentlemen.
Fred, follow 3, 25, 15, and 9, and the grandson 3. Okay, I'm coming.
Gene Rob Menard, father of 2, 118 and 126.
Larry Jordan, father of 2, 2633. Glad to be here.
My name is Lionel Lightborn. I have a tribe of 7 and too many ages to be announced, so I'm gonna go ahead and omit it to the next person.
Donald Jones, divorced and father of 2, age 12 going on 13 in July, and also age 11, that's my son.
Okay. All right, I think that's everybody that's in the room right now. Probably have some latecomers come late to class, but we're gonna go ahead and go with it. Oh, look, we do have some people in the class, and now they coming in the class late, but we're gonna let them in the class late today. We're gonna go ahead and let them on in. They late to class, but we're gonna let them in. Let's see as they come on, we can get there in the day. But while we're waiting on them to get set up, I'm going to tell you the tonight's topic, as you may have looked at and seen the flyer go out, says stop using kids as a tool to get back at someone. Our topic for tonight is whose baby is this? And that can mean many different things in many different ways, and I'm sure we're going to get into it tonight in the different ways and the different ideas of how that may come across, mainly as us as fathers. I know that some people probably seen the flyer and said, oh, it doesn't represent anybody, just telling us, and as fathers, we should advocate that our children should not be used as tools in this relationship because it's not healthy for the children. We are the adults, the children are the children. We might want to, act upon that appropriately. So I know we got Dr. Doom, and now here comes our good friend Johnny. And Johnny, we're gonna slide the thing in the chat for you so you can have it, so you can be Doom, you wanna say Johnny and Doom, you wanna introduce yourselves?
Brother Johnny Gaspard, 2 kids, a 23-year-old and a 20-year-old. Is he 20 yet? Yeah, I think he's 20 yet. But they do it good. Glad to be here again. Running a little late, was a long day, but I'm glad to be here. I'm one of the people Ron was talking about that he letting in the class, even though I'm coming in late. But I'm excited to be part of the panel today and have a great discussion of whose baby is this.
This is Jason, aka Dr. Doom. Just blessed and glad to be part of the discussion. I've got a nice blended family of 8 plus the wife plus a new baby, a grandboy. I should say a baby boy, grandbaby. just coming into the fold. So again, look forward to the discussion today.
Great. All right, so gentlemen, we got our panel tonight. So let's jump into it. I mean, when you guys thought when we were thinking about this topic, whose baby is it? What was some of the thoughts that some of the fathers had about this? I know that I put together that little flyer picture, and I think those pictures do a little something to people when they see them. People see them and they get an idea of what something is about, but that doesn't mean that that's what everything has to be about. So anybody want to take the first stab at this idea of whose baby is it, and what does that mean to us as fathers? How does it come across sometimes?
Well, one way it comes across to me when I think about whose baby is this is just the ability to bond with the child, right? Oftentimes, dads have a different way of bonding with kids than moms do, and so it almost is automatic that if something's going on, moms are automatically ready to take the child away and handle it, whereas they don't give the dad enough time to actually bond with the child. So at bond, figure the child out. Just because you feed them a certain way doesn't mean I have to feed the baby a certain way. I can do it my way that's just as effective. You see what I'm saying? And so it's just learning, allowing us to learn our kids and be a part of our kids' life and be more intricate in everything that they're doing. So when I think about whose baby is this, that's one of the things I think about is just, stop trying to overpower and overtake every situation. Allow me to be a father and step in there and do what I have to do to be equally as important as you when it comes to dealing with the child and learning the child.
Yeah, that word is maternal gatekeeping. That they like to like the term they like to use, maternal gatekeeping, and I think that it becomes maternal scapegoat, because it gives people the opportunity to run, to get away. And then now they'll use this example to say, oh, I never did these things before. Now you want me to do them. And I say, hey, you should want to do them. You should want to jump in. Let me tell you something. When y'all get that brand new car, you don't say, oh, baby, you just ride the whole car, the whole thing. You do everything with the car. No, you go out there and shine up the wheels, check under the engine. You take it on 95 and push it to the max. So why you not doing the same kind of idea with the kids? I don't know. That's what I think.
Well, when I think, the phrase "whose baby is this," as you said, can have a million different, implication or thought process behind it. It could be, I see in the picture you have the man pulling the child one way and the mom pulling the child the other way. A lot of times, it could just be the child's personality. And it could be a question that's actually being asked by people outside of the relationship based upon how the child is. There may be, like, my daughter is a lot like me in reference to the way she thinks, the way she speaks, a lot of her personality. So, her aunts and cousins, you like, yeah, that you your dad child, that's for sure. Like that kind of stuff they'd make a comment on. So it a lot of times it plays towards a child's personality, their mindset and demeanor, how they carry themselves, that one may relate that phrase, whose baby is this, or they may comment as to who the child is more like. Not necessarily belongs to, but it's more like when it comes to two parents that may actually be the parent of the child. The whose baby is this part is where the child don't look like daddy. And then the word like, nah, that ain't your child. Who baby this is?
You gotta hold the baby up to the next door neighbor.
So, that ain't that. Listen, I saw a skit. It's so funny you said I saw the skit where Cat Williams is in jail and Tiffany Haddish brings two kids and one of them is clearly of the, as Cat Williams said, of the Caucasoid Mountains. And he said, that one over there, that could possibly be my child. That could be my child. But that one right there, nah, partner. That ain't my baby right now. I don't care what you say. So it's funny that as I'm seeing this now, that skit came to mind. And, you know, that's oftentimes when we hear that phrase, whose baby is this? It's more so from a male perspective, looking at the child, because the mindset is the mama know who child it is. We know it's always the mom's child, but is it always the dad's child? So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny because when I saw the title, that's the first thing I thought of as well. It's like when the lady comes to you and tells you she's pregnant, she say, yeah, well, who the daddy? You know, one of those kind of things, you know. So, but I'm glad that it was taken to a different level, like Gene said, and role responsibilities, because, you know, from the time that a child is born, you know, there's certain roles that are assumed. Who's going to take care of the child? Who's going to get up when the baby starts crying? Who's going to feed? Who's going to do, you know, and normally it's been assumed that the male will sleep through the night because he's got to go to work in the morning and he's got to make the money and bring the money in so that everybody gets taken care of, you know, but that is quickly changing. And from I see people that are changing roles these days, it's very common now for dads to be stay home dads, you know, instead of staying at home moms, and mom is actually going to work and doing the things that the family needs financially. So I see how things are changing, but it's hard, I know, from a male perspective, because as I was taught that, you know, that the male is going to do certain things and it's his responsibility, but the female is going to do other things and that's her responsibility. And you don't mess with hers and she doesn't mess with yours. So, but I'm glad that we are talking about this tonight.
But yeah, you know, Lawrence, I thought as you say that, and we think like, you know, generational, this idea of this little idea of the belief that, hey, you don't take things away from me. I do what I need to do for the kids and things of that nature. I'm gonna throw something out there, is that I know that we have these gender roles, roles and responsibilities that we have kind of put into play. But I think that the more important part is that you're doing a role, some roles. And I think that's where the big problem comes, is a lot of times it's not that, oh, you do this and you do that. It's that you do this and I ain't gonna do nothing. You know, like this idea, you know, this whole thing, but that ain't no man's job to do. Well, what's a man's job to do when it comes to your children? Have you made up that mind? I mean, who came up with the idea that that's what her job is to do as a mother? I mean, I know our society puts that strong foot on their neck about being a mother, and if you're not a mother, you're not a woman, and they give us the pass to be flashy and do whatever we want to do, and still honored as a dad, and that's your dad because you got to have a dad. But I'm very intrigued about the idea of the roles and what our roles are, only because I think that haven't been good passed down of what our roles are as fathers, what we should be doing. We don't have a good playbook, a good diagram sometimes of what we really need to be doing. And that's, really a big part of what we try to do here is get dads in the room to kind of talk about what is your playbook. Because I'm very clear about this. Your playbook is one that you establish within yourself, within a means of what you can do. And that's where we got a lot of problems, I think, in our society, with people trying to be this dad that don't fit into their dadness. You can't be something you can't be, but you can be the best of what you can be. I was listening to somebody telling their child at the graduation, you can't be, we just want you to be the best of whatever you're going to be. And dads, we got to do that same kind of thing. We got to be the best father that we can be within it, in the circumstances. You can't just cop out. I think a lot of times we just say it's, cop out. I feel we cop out sometimes. We let the excuses take us over.
I think, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, Lawrence, age before beauty.
I think it also has a lot to do with who spends the most time with the child. I always, for a time, I was involved with the school system, and whenever you went to PTA meetings, all you saw there were females.
Mothers.
Very seldom did you see males at a PTA meeting. And when I say that, the time, who spends the most time with the child, like who does the homework, who's got the responsibility of the homework? Very seldom do you see dads that you got the responsibility of the homework. Most of the time, it's the mother, and the mother gives it to the children. Teach your brother how to do this. Teach your sister how to do this. I don't know how to do it. I didn't go to school and do that, that kind of thing. So I think it has a lot to do with how much time is involved with spending with the child.
I think when I read this, the title of this, it has so many connotations attached to it. I would agree with Gaspar in the beginning. I think it's a lot of characteristics that's attached to it. When we can either be condescending when that child show up, or personality or characteristics show up as the other parent's characteristic that we may not like, whether we together or not. You can still be together and still not like the characteristics of your partner, and especially when it shows up in the child. Or when we're separated, which makes it even more contentious, because now here you are, and back to your point, Lawrence, raising that child 24/7, but yet the fathers or the mothers who was ever absent, characteristics is showing up in that child. So there's certain things you just can't escape evolution. That's number one. Number two, you can't escape the conception of what, because maybe sometimes I think that question comes about and it reminds us of the conception and about a time we don't want to remember. You understand? So those characteristics, that child might display a characteristic that may have actually got your attention and made you attracted to the individual that you're not with anymore. So there's so many dynamics that goes along with that particular question. And sometimes I think we can use it to be cute. Who baby is this? You understand? Or who child is this? When we being cute, and when the child is not really favoring our characteristics and they showing in favor more your characteristic, and whatever the situation may be. So I think it's a very universal term, and in some cases, a term of endearment, and that's just my take on it.
Listen, when Laura said that about a characteristic of the other parent that you don't care to. So last night, my daughter FaceTimed me about a dress she want to buy. Now she getting ready to this. She's in DC working with Congress, whatever. So she going to this event. So she shows me this dress. I like, man, that ain't no part of that. That's so your mama coming out of you. What's wrong with you, child? You know better than that, right? So that's what I said to her. And then I remember later on telling her about getting a little black dress. And I stepped back and I said, okay, you can't, I had to say to myself, Johnny, that ain't right. You gotta, you saying or showing or making a comment about something she's doing that reflects her other parent and what you don't necessarily care for doesn't necessarily encourage her to do certain things. So I had to change that, and I quickly apologized to her and say, listen, I like the dress. It looks great on you. I just don't think it's appropriate for what it is you're going to. And I think it'd be better to go in this direction. She ends up texting me today, Dad, my boss said you a genius for suggesting the simple black dress. I said, yeah, because I already know what type of event you were going to. But again, I had to check myself because, again, even in trying to be funny, it could, if when you're bringing up whose baby is this characteristic, it could have negative implications in whatever it is you're trying to say to your child. So as fathers, when we do have contentious former partners, we at times will use things that our children do to kind of throw shade, even though we ain't necessarily trying, but we do. and sometimes when we're talking to our kids, it could come off negative and lead them to have a negative vibe about conversing about the other parent with you. So I think it's something that we just got to always check about ourselves, but that's that petty side and the human side of us that comes out when we mad about something, or, just whatever it may be. So I just think that it's something we got to work on as fathers, or just parents in general. But when you're the father, it's even more clear and a big deal. So you got to always be, because they're oftentimes looking at us for guidance and direction. So we got to be very careful in how we go about even using this phrase, because you may say it at the wrong time and they take it negatively, whatever it may be, as far as how it's being said to them.
Johnny, that you said that, right? I wanted to, as you said, and I think sometimes what happens is I have a conversation with somebody this week, and I said that, we have to start using a strength-based approach to everything.
What'd you say? I didn't hear what base?
A strength-based approach
to
things. And the reason I say that is because sometimes that part of who child this is benefits fathers who are kind of absent in some sense.
Yeah.
And I say it benefits them even in the sense that, and I won't say absent because they want to be absent, sometimes absent because of the situation or whatever's going on, but your child having your characteristics around other people brings that out, and it then reinforces, and people don't know this, that a lot of times people reinforce your father that you didn't even know,
Right.
Or your mother that, say, that's just how your mama is. And that child may not know it, but that also builds their esteem, because now they're relating that other people relate them to somebody. Now they ain't met the person yet.
It could be negative too, Rod.
I'm just saying. I know we got the negatives down. We got the negatives down pat. But I just see that sometimes, like, and I tell dad, and I sometimes when I'm talking to a dad, and I'm saying that, listen, if you can't get the child, maybe just talk to the mom, say, take them to my dad, my sister house, or my mama house. Because what your mom can only refer to your child in reference to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your daddy is like this, and then maybe you might can slide over there and get to see your child on the, Mike, because sometimes the people can't get him, but the moms don't have a problem with your mom and things like that, and vice versa, vice versa. But I think that reinforcement of who child that is also a big factor in helping this child also feel some self-esteem and some worth about having a connection with somebody.
Right.
And a lot of times they're not having that kind of connection.
Good point.
Hey, Trav, I want to go if you don't got nothing to say. Travis? Trav?
Oh, he don't.
Call me?
Travis. I thought Travis was going to say something. I saw him leaning towards the camera. So I don't want to skip a turn unless he got something to say, because I'm going to say something to build on what Ron. Go ahead, Trav.
I did have something to say. Like, when I see that, who baby is this? I mostly see, what I'm saying, no roles. Cause how me and my wife work, and it makes me laugh because how me and my wife work can be crazy sometimes. Like when my daughter just got, her little visitor, and I'm running crazy, and my child going crazy, and stuff like that. And I be like, okay, go talk to your mama, cause I don't know what you know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying, when my son come home, from getting into a fight with somebody, not getting in trouble on school campus, but just getting into a fight with somebody, and you know what I'm saying, he talking to my wife, and my wife be like, you know what? That sounds like your daddy problem. I don't, what I'm saying, I don't do, stuff like that. Like, that's how I see, who baby this is. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you have to be that, when that baby, when that child come to you, you have to be that has to be your baby for the day. If that child come to you, like, even, when the babies are babies, you know what I'm saying? We be always, the dad always doing little, you know what I'm saying, dad things with the babies, the mom always doing little mama things, women things with the baby. But when it come time to change diapers, who baby is it? You know what I'm saying? Everybody be like, nah, this your baby. Whew, this your baby for right now. You know, that's how I see it when it comes down to who baby is. It's comes down to whatever job as a parent you have to do at that moment.
Excellent. I love that. So when the parents are using their mothering skills or fathering skills, excellent. It's nobody's job. We're just going to utilize what skills we got. Lionel?
Yeah. Remember, like you said, Ron, you even said, like, who made the woman just to be a housemaid or whatever. Right. The dad could cook. The dad might be a mean cook. The mama might be a sports fanatic. You don't know these things. You know what I'm saying? But whatever that child is, that child growing up to whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Those parents are putting in them.
You're going to be that, the type of parent you're going to be that day.
Gotcha. Good point.
Hey, Trav, you had a lot to say. And you was a 100% on point.
Yeah, but powerful.
Say behind that, but I will build on a point that Ron brought up earlier, which is when he said that if the kid hears somebody say that your dad used to act like that, or your mom used to act like that, or the parent who's absent used to act like that, and if that particular behavior, good or bad, is the only relationship or relatability they can have with that absent parent, then that particular behavior may become vital, be it positive or negative. So that may be a vicarious way of having a relationship with somebody that's not, or a parent that's not there. So that's an awesome point you made, Ron.
Good point.
And again, on the other end of that, remember that that's the trauma that you give your child by not being. Listen, I gotta always listen. I'm a support a father to the end. But I'm also gonna give you that shellacking in the back end because I think that that's important. Yeah. Listen, that child needs you. Now, if it ain't risking your freedom and your safety, you try to do whatever you can to try to get some kind of connection with that child because the child needs you, man. I'm just having a conversation with somebody who was saying that they was concerned that they knew that the father of their child, when the man got involved, the other man got involved with the lady, they knew the father wasn't involved. And that's why something funny happened between that man and that child. Because he knew the father was not fooling with the child or the mother at all. Forget the mother, don't leave your children stranded out here.
Gotcha.
Sometimes moms be in love and can't see past the love.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nothing against anybody. I'm just saying sometimes they be so in love that they can't see past the love, and your child suffer because they have nobody to turn to. And they should be able to turn to you. And guess what? Jokers ain't mess. Listen, if they know that they're going to daddy's house, they gonna spend time with daddy.
Oh, for sure.
Hey, jokers ain't fooling with your children, man. They're not fooling with your children because they know they ain't just going to your house to do nothing, you know.
And a lot of times in that situation, the kids would tell them, listen, my daddy don't play. So, you know, that's one thing my kids always say, listen, my dad a lawyer, he don't play. He'll have the whole world messing with you. Okay, so don't play. Something like that they'll say. But yeah, I definitely agree with that, Ron. Once you're involved and available, it leaves your children less susceptible to the predators of the world because, you know, we're there as protectors, even when we're not in the home. Just the understanding that we are available changes the mindset and the attitude of people who may seek to want to do something to your children because they know you're present, they know you're available, they know you make it a point to be involved. So it could be just a little thing. It doesn't have to be you, again, as long, like you said, as long as your safety and your freedom are not at risk, you got to be involved somehow. Even if it's a conversation once or twice a week, just to let the kids know that they see you and maybe show up now and again to every other weekend to just be available. It lends them to, again, feel more confident that dad is present. he's involved, and I could go to him for whatever I need. And ultimately, they know that that's their father, so they don't have to ask themselves whose baby this is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the kids don't have to ask who.
Yeah, correct.
You know, and I'm going to piggyback off what someone said earlier. I can't remember who. I think this was Travis was saying. Age plays a big difference when you ask whose baby this is, because there's a certain time where when you're raising a son, right? There's a certain age where it's a strong fatherhood presence is needed to finish guiding them through that adulthood and take them to those transitions. And so as a father, it's really important that you start stepping in, not only when they're older, but even when they're teens. Because a lot of times, you know, kids, as they get older, we all know this. We did it when we were kids. We stopped hanging out with our parents, started hanging out more with our friends. But it's like Gaspar was saying, it's important that we build that relationship so that they know they can still talk to us and they can still deal with us, because they know that even if we're not in the house, we're checking in with them.
Correct.
We're saying, what's going on with you today? What happened this past week? Let me know who's bothering you. Let me know who's not bothering you. Let me know what's your best friend's name. Everything, you know, are you dating anybody yet? So we can have those other crucial conversations with them about just life and dealing with everything, you know, and in some cases dealing with everything as a Black man.
Definitely.
There are some things that I'm sorry, moms, you won't understand dealing with certain situations as a Black man. That's just how life is.
Hey, Robert, you know, Gene, Robert, you bring on something. I spoke to a father, and I thought he was going to come on here tonight, but he probably come on tomorrow night. I was speaking to a father this week, and you know, he was thinking about getting some therapeutic services. But I told him, call me first. Let's just talk about what you got going on because that's another fact that I'm big on, is that sometimes everybody don't need therapy. They just need somebody to vent to make sure they're on the right path for what the right thing they got going on. That's what makes this, again, folks, Fatherhood Talk so important. So if you need somebody to hear you, to be able to vent to, be able to bounce off the ideas of what you're doing as a father, definitely you're able to come here Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights live with us in the group. So if you like, share, subscribe, all of that. But just to go back to this dad, once we started talking, I realized his son was in a very unique disposition. You know, he was in between two homes, right? Parents, good relationship, and the whole 9 yards. Student doing really good student, everything. At mom's home, there's a stepfather, there's a younger baby, and father has a son that rotates in and out.
Gotcha.
So then I said, well, some of the issues that you may be having may not even have nothing to do with you, Pops.
Yeah.
You might be just a safe space for him to express whatever he got. Because in his other home, he's the older kid who has to take care of a stepbrother who's sometimes there, sometimes not, and also be responsible for a brand new younger kid. Yeah. And whereas in your home, he's free to be whatever.
Yeah.
You know. So, you know, in that conversation, we talking about this, as we're talking about this, all I could think about is like the opportunities that we have, you know, to be able to really service our children in the best possible means. And I was really inspired by this brother, man, because of how the kind of conversations he was having with his son, you know, and how and what it was about. And I was like, yo, hey, you're a young guy, you on the right path. But again, it comes back to this thing we talk about all the time. We went one generation above him. Okay. And what was there. Gotcha. And it wasn't, he again making a playbook for himself because he didn't have a playbook. And that's, you know, I think that we looking at a lot of this and talking about, you know, who baby is this and what have you. Some of it is identifying what's our role in decide whose baby this is. Are we following some playbook that's not ours? Or do we make up our own playbook on how we gonna do it? Are we listening to the fellas over here telling us how we should do something, which way we should do it? Or should you come to Fatherhood Talks and bounce the ideas off the crew and find the best way for you? Let's move on for the commercials. Travis.
Travis got his hand up. His virtual
Go ahead,
hand
Travis.
Because I want to say this before I forget, and then I'm all over the place. I want to piggyback off of what basically all this is about, but I want to say this: who baby is it? You know, stepfather's edition. Same. I say this because me being a stepfather and me seeing the both spectrum of raising a child from a baby and raising a child at an age who knows who their father is, it shows. You know what I'm saying? You know, and reason why I say that is because when it does, when I hear this, you know, who baby is this, I do think about, you know, stepfathers too, because you know what I'm saying, you got to realize it's 3 parents now, not just 2. You know, it's 3.
Yeah.
If the dad's in a life or if the dad is not in a life, you know what I'm saying? It's 3 parents. And you want to make sure that you know what I'm saying, that you inspire in that child's life just like the other 2 parents. You know what I'm saying? Like when it came to my youngest, I got 2. Well, I got, like I said, I got 3 kids. One of them I raised from a baby, like top arm infant baby.
Gotcha.
And the other 2 I raised at an age they knew who their daddy was. And I see it when they one 16, the other one 14, and the other one 12. The youngest called me daddy. Don't care who asks. Who asks? And trust me, when she came up of age, her mama showed her daddy was. And she still called me to this day daddy. You know what I'm saying? You know, now the 2 older ones, they don't call me daddy, and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because you know what? They still show me that same respect as a father. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
You know, so I want to say that too. When it comes to who baby is this, stepfather's edition. Trust me, as long as you be there, as long as you be in that child life, as long as you're doing that child the right way. Same thing.
Same thing. I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm very glad Travis said that, because I think a lot of times it's overlooked about that step parent role and knowing where you fit in and having that biological parent put you in that role. Because sometimes you get into a relationship and they're like, nah, this ain't your child. You ain't gonna come in here and try to tell my child what to do.
Yeah.
When you have that parent that says, you coming up in here and you're going to be a father figure, so I'm gonna let you take that role and let you run with that role and do what you do, it's a completely different environment that you set up. Right. And when you have that parent backing you up on all the plays and not disrespecting you in front of the kids, that is major. And that's how you can step into, and when you get a little, you know, when the kids are old, you may get some resistance, but you won't get as much resistance as if they think one parent is against the other. Mm-hmm. In that household.
Good point.
I still call it they just teenagers. When they, like you said, you still might get some resistance, but that's just a teenager in them.
Yep.
Okay? Teenagers being teenagers.
That's it.
You know, I love that he brought up the stepfather thing, because I think particularly as a stepfather or a blended family, I think a man's and I think a woman's work. I don't think it's gender bias when it comes to the nightmare of dreading hearing those words, "You're not my daddy."
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
My mama. Yeah.
And you ain't my mom. You're right, correct. And I you know, as well as I treated my stepchildren, which is only 3 of them. 3 out of 3 are my stepchildren, the other 4 are my biological. Shout out to my son. Today is his birthday, he's 31. But much better, and he's a better father than me because he's he should be, because I raised him to be a better man. And he's a full-time father. So with that, let's just not disregard those things. And I don't believe in big and small successes. I think success is one size fits all. And so I think he's done an awesome job. And my grandbaby is getting ready to be 10 in August. And he's been raising her as a single father full time. And she loved him to the door. And with that, knowing that we, as a step parent and all that stuff like that, you have to understand the dynamics of the other parent, the biological father, and you got to understand the dynamics of that particular relationship. If that relationship ended bad and there still may be some contention, you got to understand how to use that to your benefit. And not that you like saying, okay, we playing these games, tit for tat. No, I'm like, use that to your benefits where it can be equitable. You understand? Yeah. If you're going to be a general, be a general. If you're going to be a quarterback or the captain of the team, be the captain of the team. You got to understand everything works to my benefits. The negative works to my benefits. The positive works to my benefits. So dreading that the kids may say that one day, and that day did come, particularly when it came to discipline, your child. That's usually when it comes. That's and this particular kid, and I gotta put a sidebar here, because when it came to the discipline of my stepchildren, I thought it was always unjust either way, right? When it came to that discipline, either I was gonna be either too hard on them because they're not my children, or I'm gonna be too soft on them because they're not my children. And so I could never give them the full, even though I can give them my full love, I could never give them the full brunt. And that's the double-edged sword about this. You could give them your full love, but you never could give them the full discipline. You understand? Because of that connection or disconnection of them not being your biological child. And so when my stepson did say, he was like, oh, you're not my daddy, blah, blah, and threw it up. And it just kept me in silence, because silence is a discipline I have to use. And of course, his mama snapped. And I'm like, no need to snap. I said, what we're going to do is give him the full benefit of his father. Guess what? Ready or not. And so I'm not worrying about his father's financial stability or whether he can do it or not. I'm like, he's going to do it today. Because most of the time, most women, they factor in everything and then they come to a conclusion like he'll be better off with me than with his father. But I'm like, no, sometimes you got to get that child up to the father so at some point they can raise each other.
Say that again, Lionel. Say that part again. Say that last part.
I said sometimes you got to give that child up to the father, and sometimes at the point that they can raise each other. Because again, if you have been playing all your life,
I love boys in the hood never lied. Boys in the hood never lied.
Yo, that's that. Lionel, you know what? What you said is so true, because that's that grass is always greener, right? And so they think that kids will think, oh man, if I was with my dad or if I was with my mom, it'd be a whole lot different. Oh, it's going to be different. It may not be different to your benefit, but it's going to be different. There's a reason why you're here. You see what I'm saying? There's a reason why you're here.
And for the fathers. I remember the Sopranos, and when little Tony decided he didn't want to do what his mom told him to do, whatever, he was going to stay with his dad. He went to stay with his dad. He was sitting on the couch one night. He was like, hey, what we having for dinner? He said, I don't know, the kitchen in there. So I ain't your mom. and if you can look at he was giving his mom the business, but the look on his face
what his dad
to realize that, oh snap, ain't nobody about to cook me now, and I ain't about to get no, you better get what you about to cook us. You better get in the kitchen and cook us something, pal. And so it is important, and I've always said it's very important, especially when moms have come to me and been frustrated. I said, have you just thought about just let the kids go on a vacation?
Yeah.
Let them go on that vacation, because you frustrated with him and you frustrated with them. Yeah. Now, why don't you send all that frustration over them and you have a little fun? Because what happened is Lonnie, you said it. They both gonna learn today.
Or how to raise each other.
Because his dad free to do whatever. As dads, we free to do whatever we want, how we want to do it. That don't work no more. Because you got two jokers sitting right up there like Hansel and Gretel looking at you like, what's in the oven, daddy? Huh?
Each other in the face.
Exactly. And then they also learning that, listen, daddy ain't cooked dinner till 11 o'clock at night. We were hungry. So you get to see the comparison and contrast for both those children and the dad to kind of get, to get a little bizarro world put on them so they can understand and have a little bit more appreciation for what moms are sometimes doing that you don't really recognize and can't see.
Ron, that's messed up. Why you gotta be throwing me out there like that, man? Because I've had many of them.
I know. Listen, we have to listen. That ain't a bad thing, Johnny.
No,
it's
not.
But that's what we had to do as a dad who had our kids by ourselves.
Yeah.
We can only operate in the realm of the world that we operate in. And the kids get to see the diversity in saying, listen, you get home, dad ain't got nothing for you. Dad give you $1 and say, take this $1 and go get some snack. And y'all go to the library and I'll meet y'all at the library when I get out of my office. You in the library on the computer, this and that, and you be right getting good in the part of the game. He coming at time to go.
Let's go.
Let's go. But Dad, let's go. We got to go. And you get to learn some very valuable lessons as a child and so the father who always tell my son, man, what you need all that money for? Mama, you find out. Every Popeyes, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, everything y'all ride by. Daddy, we kind of hot, Daddy. We going to Dad, we going, what?
Man, I ain't got no money for this.
News at home, you
Got cereal at home.
Ron, you guys also, good evening, guys. You guys also right, being a father, raising my daughter, and a two-home scenario. Some of those scenarios you guys are talking about are so true. Cooking the food late. You got to grab something on the street. It changes because then you may have less support. So you're trying to swim and also carry someone with you while you're trying to stay afloat. So it is challenging. I agree.
That's a great analogy, Rohan. You try to swim while carrying somebody afloat with you. That's a great analogy.
But it's also something for you to reflect on when you're thinking about what these moms is doing. Listen, I'm all for fathers. I'm your number one advocate, but I can't advocate for you if I don't identify what's going on with mothers.
I hear you.
Because that's a fact. You look at it and say, oh man, and we just take it for granted that that's what mom's supposed to do.
You do, yeah.
Mom should not go to sleep at night because she was up all night checking the homework, this and that, blah blah blah, and then she got to get up at 6 o'clock and do her thing. That's what moms do. No, that's what parents should have to do. Yeah. Parents. So sometimes we should say, baby, I'm staying up tonight. You stay up tomorrow night. Flip flop. That's a partnership. But we get comfortable. I think we get comfortable in those stereotypical roles, and then we forget about who baby this is. It's my baby for sure. It's your baby for work.
I hear that. Good point there, bro. Because we stay up all night and watch the game now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So the game all late, you like, Dad, I need some homework. Your mom over there, go talk to her. I watch the game right now. But and the game go all late at night. But at the moment we talking about staying up late to do the work with the kids, that's her role. So I definitely hear what you're saying on that. And I tell many of my clients a lot of times, I used to advise them, listen, it's cheaper, and you may not see it that way because it is a bit of money coming out your check. But I guarantee you, had you had to have them children living under your roof 24/7, that amount of money you giving her would be considered pennies.
That's groceries.
That's groceries. Because when you sit down and you look at the time invested with picking up and dropping off and light, water and food and all those things that you don't take into consideration, it's very minimal what you're given if you actually think about it. So I tell a lot of guys, I know you mad that she got you in court with this whole child support thing, but believe me, even with that process, you still getting off, to some degree with reference to what you would have to pay if the kids were living under your roof.
It's good that you said that, because that brought up a thought for me that child support is affected more by promotion and not inflation. You understand? And that's factual. So I'm like, listen, you get the benefit of the doubt because inflation doesn't impact your child support. It's not like, because when inflation goes up, your child support goes up.
Yep.
You understand? So you're right. You're getting over like a fat cat, and oftentimes we do. But then it becomes, again, double-edged sword, because I'm like, but then what have you missed out on? What are those invisible equities that what have you not gained?
Yeah.
You understand? And I think with my children, it was a level of intelligence that came with being a father that I think I couldn't have gotten without them.
I hear that.
And so them experiences come with a level of education that no institution can teach you other than the institution of family itself. But it can't come without those sacrifices. It's going to need more than study. You're going to need those sacrifices. And without those sacrifices, you're not going to get that intelligence or that education.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
And
Yeah,
guys, a real quick one. You have time versus money, and I can say this for myself as a divorced dad. I advocated for time, and I can tell you, I see where my daughter has come live, is living with me now, and mine, it is work, but you can teach her some of the values that we learn in the Fatherhood program.
Yeah.
Because think about it, if you write, I have friends who write checks. I've invited them to the program. They'll never show up on the program. They watch 90 Days Fiance and call me all the time. But make the time, and the reason I say that, the most times when I like to do numbers, and when I do numbers, you will see that there are most cases where that money don't necessarily go to that child. It will go to a dealership, and the sales guy says, "Oh, you got child support for those kids? Oh yeah, I got child support for those kids. There we go. There's a car right there." I always like to watch numbers, and you'll see really what's really going on.
But Rohan, even in that situation where the money doesn't go directly to the child, it does still go to the child, because that car she driving, picking them up from school, dropping them off to whatever recital, football practice, whatever it is that they got to be involved in, that car is being used to that. So yeah, it may not go to their pocket necessarily to buy them clothes, tangible stuff directly for them, but believe me, it goes towards them. Like I tell people, light ain't free. They be up in the shower running your water, and you're like, hold up, how long you in the bathroom, boy? You don't get me wrong, you want to wash your skin good, but he up in there running your water like you work for the water company, and they got all the lights on in the house like you work at FP&L. Listen. So, like I said, it may not go directly, but they get some tangible benefit from it. So.
I have the same issue with the lights and water and the food and so forth. But in reality, I told my ex-wife, I said, both of us lay down and have those kids. And whether the judge make that decision that, well, okay, you get this amount of money, you took on the responsibility of having a child. And if I was absent, you still would have to do it. Amen. So there's many ways, as Lionel said, we got to look at it on the two sides of the sword. Right. You made that decision to have a child, whether it's you wanted it to be on a basket list to have a child, whether you have to put in the work too. That's the way I look at it. To make the tree grow, we have to do the what we call it. We have to plow the ground, so to speak.
There you go.
Look, I understand what y'all mean when y'all come to the child support, but see me, look, when it comes to child support, if like I have baby mama got me on child support too, and they used to make it seem like it was such a big deal. And I used to cheese at them and smile like, well, look, check this out. If you never put me on now, we probably could have had it more, because I was there. I am that dad who still, be with my kids and everything else.
Yeah.
And when I use and when they used to try to use child support on me, I used to look at them like, okay. See, it's 2020, and what I like about it, nowadays, most fathers are not scared of child support. You know what I'm saying? And I like that, because that's how we have to be, because some of these baby mamas use that as a crutch or as a way to try to hold you down, or this, that, and third. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at them like that, I'm like, okay, if child support coming, they look at you like you're a deadbeat, but really, you still doing for your kids. Like when I'm on child support, but I still take care of my kids. Come over to my house, I feed them, clothe them. They use my lights, they use my water, they spend my money and everything else. They go back to their mama's house.
And your mindset, Travis, is one that we would want a lot of young fathers to have.
Yes.
But the problem is a lot of young fathers don't necessarily have that mindset, because they may not be financially. Correct.
They-
And they may not be financially in a position to understand the benefits of it. So therefore, for them, it's more of, oh, you impacting how I could do this and how I can do that, when they don't look at it to the other side of it as to the cost that comes with what them not having the children living in the house is saving them. So I think it's just a lot of, because of youth, because of not having, as Ron was talking about, a plan or a playbook shown you by someone else, you don't have an idea and understanding. So therefore, because you don't, it's scary. And you just see it as a financial burden on you, when in actuality, it's a blessing because of what you would have to pay if the children were living with you, but you don't look at it that way. So again, it's not having a playbook that's the issue.
But Gaspar,
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
me at that point, and excuse me about that, sir. Which one of us ever had a playbook when it came to a child, especially when we came from a broken home?
Right.
Or we came from a home with a stepfather, or a 3-parent home, or a home where the stepfather is there, or the stepdad, and the father is trying not to be involved and he's forced to pay child support. Now, I'm not condoning that, because I'll be glad to pay, just like Travis. I'm glad to get that money away, because I want to be able to see my children, be able to spend time with them, because there are some things that a mother can't teach, but a father can only teach, especially the part about protection, about young girls turning to young ladies and having more value in themselves.
Amen.
And for the young men that do come up under the father that are his sons, to know exactly how they're supposed to walk upright, hold their head out, and make sure they always have confidence when they speak and always use dictation.
Amen.
If the father isn't there, and I'm not saying it's like this for every family, because there are some men, grandfathers and uncles, and sometimes even older brothers, that do cater for their father position. But when the father isn't there, he's trying not to be there. Further, like being forced and made to pay child support. I feel like it's a cop-out. I feel like you try to take the easiest way out. You had the baby. You don't want to do exactly what you want to do for it. So you're going to complain about something because it's taking up your time. Once you have a child, it ain't your time no more. Your time is your child's time.
Amen.
Period.
Amen.
And that's how I feel about the situation, even with my personal responsibilities that I'm going through. And like I always said, everything is public knowledge to see. I do everything possible to make sure I'm in communication with my children, even when I can't touch them. Because I know even my voice can change something in their mindset when somebody is telling them something very different. Because of my positive outlook, of my positive aspect of it, and doing the biggest thing a father's supposed to do for all his children, always build them up. And I'm done with my little piece.
I love those who love you. Dropping some knowledge.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
I think that, you know, both of you guys have such a the right attitude when it comes to child support, because of the fact that a lot of people don't realize, and I guess Gaspar can attest to this, that when you're actually on child support, you got more rights to those kids, right? You have a little bit more to say than you.
Yep. Oh, it's true word.
I said a little bit. I didn't say you have.
I didn't say that I'm like, no, I agree with him. He said a little bit.
Hold on. Listen. You should. That would be a rational, logical thought.
Right.
That you should. But
it's only if you married.
But child support, yes. If you married and you're or divorced, that's different. But if you are not married to that lady, you have not gone to court to be determined to be the father, and you have not filed to establish any time sharing, you will be paying without seeing. And she will let you know this.
And that's astronomical child support.
There you go. Thank you for clearing that up, because there's the difference. Okay, so the difference is with the marriage piece, you will, with there's no marriage and no set precedent, I guess.
No court document to establish the time sharing. You will be paying without seeing.
Oh,
contract.
Let me add to that real quick. I have a friend who was married, and he's in Sebastian up north, and he goes there all the time. The police, apparently the police call him. The mom just poison the kids against him. He's paying, and he's been married. And I said to him, "How can we fix this? You know, you keep on going to court, keep on dodging and playing the game." And I heard that in some other states, if you go to pick up your child and any game goes on, you're arrested on the spot. I'm like, what? And they say in Florida it's a joke. There's some states, if you go to pick up your child and there's someone holding the child or playing the game, you're arrested on the spot.
Who you talking about? The person going to pick them up or the parent?
My male friend goes to pick up his child at the school, but the mom is always there bombarding and taking the kids and behaving with her after drama. So the cops, they've called the cops. So the cops said to him one day, "Listen, stop calling us. We can't deal with this anymore. Go back to the
Courts.
to the courts." So he keep on going back to the courts, and then she keep on doing it, playing the games with him. But he's the kind of father who's in tune with the mother, not with the child. Because remember, you have two kind of fathers.
Gotcha.
The ones with the mom are ones with the child.
Gotcha.
So I'm not saying I wish I could change some rules down here where you'll get your time, you pick up your child, no questions asked, and go. We're not going to get into the.
Well, let me say this. There are multiple states, and I think of one state in Nebraska. I know somebody in Nebraska. They told me the story of how the legislation, the state senate, and made more because they think fatherhood is very important. So fathers, like what I would hope that a homeboy here was establishing in Florida for his, fatherhood initiative that he got planned is more accountability for fathers being more engaged, involved with their kids. So in Nebraska, what explained to me is that there is no game about this. If the father is divorced father or he's the father, if you go on the birth certificate and he's a father, he has equal rights to the child, and they are automatically responsible to come up with a time sharing process for that father to be involved.
Gotcha.
I agree with that.
That's child support or no child support.
That makes sense.
Now
and that is ideal because now you're changing the dynamic. Because listen, if that dad is spending time with the kids, he's gonna have to spend some money though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying with y'all here in Florida. The sad part is she can put you on child support, have the Department of Revenue have you come to court, and you got to pay, and you have no visitation rights. You have no time sharing. That's a new word in Florida. You have no time sharing rights unless you go to court to establish it. Because child support, it had nothing to do with time sharing. And they will tell you that because you pay don't entitle you to nothing. Because if you go to get the kids, the cops going to say, you got your papers with you? and then if you ain't got no paper with you, you like, but I paid child support. Do you have any paper with you, sir, that says you are entitled to time with the children? No, I don't. All right, so get out of here before I lock you up and go to court.
So let me ask you because that brings up an interesting thing. So if you're the father of the child, right? Now you're not married, but you're just the father of the child.
Have you been determined father of the child by the court? See, I think there's a difference.
Okay, so I've been determined. Now I didn't do time sharing. I've been.
This is the question.
I know. I'm gonna give you the scenario.
Okay.
So I've been determined the father by the courts, but I didn't do time sharing.
No, see what that it wasn't. You couldn't get one with the other. So
Okay.
if they establish you as the father by the courts, they will automatically work in the time sharing with you.
Wow.
That would automatically work.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, good. See, that's good.
Gaspar, no, hold on. Gaspar, you mean with the family courts because they can establish through the revenue, what they call internal revenue, not internal revenue, but you know what I'm talking
Department
about.
of Revenue, yeah.
Child support, and that can be established through child support, and you still couldn't get your time sharing.
Well, no,
right.
Hold on. What in Lionel's situation with the child support, you have been determined a father for monetary purposes.
Correct.
Monetary purposes. So, Gene, I get your statement about you've been determined to be father by the court. When you establish paternity in family court versus child support court, they're two separate things. So in child support court, we recognize him as the father, so he got to pay this child support. But he hasn't gone to family court to establish the time sharing and to be determined father over there.
Johnny,
Okay, so hold on,
Johnny,
hold on.
That's the problem with
let me
Florida.
be clear one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that makes this very clear. And this is where a lot of these guys get frustrated and don't want to be involved in
Correct.
the whole system.
Correct.
When you look for monetary child support in that paperwork packet, in the back of that packet, there is a parenting plan there. You can
Correct.
fill it out. The mother can fill it out. But if
Correct.
the mother says she does not want it, it will not happen.
And 9 out of 10 times, they're not going to do so. Why? Because they had to take you to child support. This is my logic, is that the likelihood is that you weren't having time sharing with the children. Your relationship between the both of you isn't positive, and therefore she's not willing to go the extra mile to assist you in being involved, because in her opinion, you haven't shown. Because 9 out of 10 times, and I won't say 9, maybe 8 out of 10 times, when a woman puts you on child support, it's because you're not involved. In her opinion, you're not giving any money, you're not there, you're not present. So therefore, she feels, let me go to the court to get some help. So when she does that, Ron, she ain't trying to give you no time sharing because you ain't helping her anyway.
But again,
So,
that to me is problematic.
I
Let me tell you
agree.
what, that when someone would look at this and say, well, you wanted him to, you feel like he's not doing something. You're going to come here and say, you need him to give you this money. But we have put in this plan. He had even filled out his part to say, hey, this is the time I want. And for you to refuse it, that should be problematic, man. That should not be acceptable at all. Because guess what? At that present moment, what you're saying is, I don't want this father to be involved in my child's life, because money does not, we already said money does not equal involvement.
And the Department of Revenue will tell you that ain't our job.
We know that.
Wait, I want to say this, because I'll let y'all talk, I'll listen to everything y'all saying. Now, what you said, like, yes, child support doesn't, child support does says you are the father. When you go and get your share time, you can combine that with the parenting plan to establish parenting rights. That's what
That's correct, but you had to go to family court to get this.
I'm not knocking what you said. I'm not knocking what you said.
Oh, okay.
What you were saying, like, you can't, they're not established you as that's true, they're not, but the court already established me as a father through the child support. All I had to do was, when I went to go get my timeshare, connect that child support with that timeshare, I got
correct, because you've already been determined over in child support court to be the father. So you didn't necessarily have to do it again in family court, but you had to go to family court to get the time sharing. And what Ron is saying is, when you come to child support court, if you as a father want to establish time sharing and you fill out the paperwork through child support, why? Because mom says no, child support gonna make you go over and tell you, well, sir, if you want this, you got to go over to family court. And now you got to go.
Johnny,
why wouldn't child support just make it
Johnny,
where she doesn't have a choice?
Johnny, don't leave out the biggest reason why these fathers are upset about that. The biggest reason they're upset about it, because largely majority of the time they are getting sanctioned with back pay. So not only do they now have to pay child support, they have almost to a $15,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 arrearage that is put onto them, regardless of if they've been helping the mom the whole time.
Not necessarily true, not always. But
hold on. Let me ask this last question, because it piggybacks off my first thing. So, just for fathers out there who need to know this, can you forego child support court, right? Let's just say you're not on child support. Can you go to family court first to determine whether or not you can get time sharing without doing the child support first?
Well, hold on. If you go to family court to establish time sharing and paternity,
they will establish child support at the same time. You ain't about to go over there and get time.
Hold on.
Johnny,
So they can,
Johnny,
so if
answer
I
this
go the
question.
other route, they can take my money, but not give me some time with my child.
Yeah, but if you
But
go,
if I go the
to get
family
time.
court, they're gonna give me time and take my
your
money.
money.
Okay.
Well, hold up.
Go ahead, Rod. You were saying.
Hold up.
No, go ahead, Travis. Go ahead. I think Travis might say what I'm gonna say.
Because I get that, but you gotta bring that back, because if I go there to establish my fraternity, I'm the dad.
Yeah.
All right, I go there. Now you telling me in order for me to get all that, I have to go to child support? That I feel like doesn't make no sense, because I'm establishing this.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. Once you go over there, Travis, and you say, listen, she doesn't have you on child support, okay? There's no child support. So you go over to family court and you want to establish paternity and you want time sharing. The court will automatically establish child support. Why? Because the time sharing plays a role in how much child support you pay. You got me? So perfect example as to what Ron was saying about the arrears. If, let's say, you and the child, you were always having a child overnight, even before she took you to child support court, and you have proof of that you have been having a child overnight, that will play a role in whether or not you have a lot of arrearage or not. Because but you have to have proof.
Right.
So because the court automatically says she's the child of the mother of the child, the likelihood is she's been keeping the child all the time. Therefore, he has to prove that he's been keeping the child to get the arrearage down. So that's part of that. But unfortunately, yes, if you go just to establish paternity and time sharing, they will automatically establish child support. But if you go to
benefit,
hold up, but you're not saying,
but Travis,
hold up, but you're not saying that
they
automatically establish it on you.
No, listen. It is to your benefit because now you are in a court of law, just like divorcing fathers.
Correct.
You're in the court of law where the child support is established by the judge who is overseeing that. So they may then do it completely different than the computer system over at child support. There's no human being deciding the child support over there at the Internal Revenue Service. It's a computer, and whenever something goes wrong with the computer, then they send out a suspend your license, arrest warrant. Not a human being, but a computer. Whereas you'd be better to say, let me go to court and let me gamble with this judge who a real human being who may have some empathy about my child having both parents in their life.
Correct.
Who may have an idea about the importance of me being in my child's life. So my child may not end up coming back here later on in life. In a
different area of the court.
Hey Ron, now I got to correct something, because I think what we need to do is start to give the real story about this child support, as opposed to the stigmas that comes along with it.
Go ahead.
And with that, you got to understand that just recently, probably in the last decade, maybe decade and a half, they recently changed that law where the arrears, so the arrears that we complaining about, I'm like, that's petty. That's them baby arrears compared to the arrears that they used to have. And so up to the last decade, the arrears only go back as far as about 2 years.
2 years, yes.
2 years, that's it.
Yeah.
And the arrears used to go back the whole entire life of that child. You understand? So our daddies, them, and all our absent fathers of the past went 18 years worth of arrears. And I think one of the classic examples, and I don't think he fell up under that. I don't think he fell up under that that legislation, or whatever the case may be. But was the dude who caught the lotto? I think he had about eight kids. He never responded to child support. Hit the lotto. They gave him $82.
What that dude?
I'm gonna be honest with you. It is a double-edged sword. If you're talking about, I'm like, listen. Maybe that, because you don't know what your tomorrow gonna look like, what your future and your luck gonna look like, your blessings gonna look like. And you may think, oh, I'm cute now, not paying the child support and not responding to them orders. And you catch that lotto tomorrow, they actually start out paying that mother
where as if you always had the lotto. So the lotto, whatever you came in at that lotto, or better yet, wherever they caught you at, is basically where you're gonna be paying at. So you come out better. If you got a little piece of job, pay at the little piece of job. That way when you upgrade, you won't get killed.
I didn't think about that till you just said that.
Hey, Lionel, listen, let's take it there since Lionel brought this up. And it's important because a lot of the fathers don't know the child support system. You don't understand it. You don't go. Listen, I would say look into your local city. Look, and they have some very nice case workers down at the child support office who will walk you through everything that you need to do to make sure I know there's one here in Jacksonville. I go and see her all the time because they got me on a mixed up child support thing. And so what I have to do is go and see her. And she tells me, here's my little thing right here. My little thing she just gave me this week for this month. Because, if you have your money coming out of your child support, coming out of arrears, if you have arrears, but then also if they garnishing it from one job, that still doesn't cover you because you still got to pay the full amount. So, being on a certain kind of job, you don't get paid the same amount every time.
Yeah.
You then had to go do more work. So it's a lot of work.
Yes, sir.
To maintain your child support. And again, it's almost more work than if you would have just made things kind of, what you say, Lionel? If you would have been what's that word we like, flex if we did what with the mom? Finesse. If you would have finessed with the mom, because clearly you gonna find out that you got to go down here and got to figure this stuff. And you have to you have to read everything that come out. So, we got a habit of throwing our mail away. Once they get your address, hear my own story. They didn't go to my house. It went to my house in a whole nother place.
Yeah.
Once it was accepted and somebody at that place signed it, I was already on the hook, and I ain't never signed nothing. I didn't even know that and so the clock started running.
Yep.
And as soon as the clock started running, now you are now becoming in arrears, non-payments. And this is something you can't take for joke. You can't kind of say, well, I ain't gonna do this, I ain't gonna do that, because this then begins to affect with your real livelihood. You think you're gonna get an income tax check? No income tax check.
Wait. What? Tell them if they get into the rear, that's when they ain't gonna take it. That's when they gonna take your check.
Well, no, because
I learned that the hard way. I was crying.
If you have an arrears right now, when you come into there, when you get an income tax check, they're gonna take the arrears, they clear the arrears from your income tax check. Yep. I got an income tax check for $72, so they can go ahead and take that back. They can go ahead and get that, bro. Go ahead and put that into the pot. But you gotta weigh these things, and you can be making expectations and plans for stuff that you're gonna get upset about. Because a lot of people depend on income tax to do something new or do something different. Yeah. Like dude told his wife, we're gonna get married with my income tax, and his new fiance, we're gonna get married with income tax. Yo, we went down there, they got
So Gaspar, let me ask this, Gaspar. So when you come to that situation, right? Mm-hmm. And let's just say when I come to the child support office, I have receipts of where I bought diapers, I bought all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Will that lessen the arrears, or how would that play?
Again, remember I told you about overnights?
Uh-huh.
If you could have bought diapers, but the child stayed with her for the first 5 years of the child life, right? But you bought diapers every day. Mm-hmm. But you didn't have no overnights. So as Lightbird was saying, hopefully you still at your $10 an hour job and you ain't hit the lotto yet, because if you hit the lotto and your income is now, let's say $10,000 a month, they're gonna go back those 5 years as if you was making $10,000 a month. So your arrears, so even though you had those receipts, although it will some of it may apply, because the overnight situation impacts how child support is, it's very minimal how it will change what you owe, because you haven't had any overnights with the child. And why I say that, the reason why they use overnights is because when the child is at your house, they're using your water, your light, you have to feed them so they don't credit her or the other parent with those nights as far as money's concerned. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Hey, but Rohan can tell you, and I think we was in the court right in Broward County in the court in child support court, and the brother was there sitting there in the chair, and the judge couldn't even get the number amount that this brother owed because the brother used to be in the NFL when he was put on child support. His child support was $10,000 a month, right? So when he was in the NFL, that was just, that was nothing.
Correct.
And this is why I say to you fathers out there, you have to handle your business. If you need to go get what's this called?
Amendment.
A change. Let them know what money you make, what money you don't make, that you got another child that's on. You have to do those. They're not going to do it for you. This brother owed over $2 million in child support.
And he probably had stopped being in the NFL for several years.
He had stopped being in the NFL 2 years. 2 years after the child support went on. So he was, from this time, now this man was well in his 50s. He had, he was saying he had no money. Listen, here's the problem. All that could have been avoided if you were taking care of your business. If you're not going, and we talk about this all the time, just because you don't have your kids, don't mean you can't provide for them.
There you go.
There's ways that you take care of your business. You take care, because what could have happened is once he wasn't in the NFL, he went and told him, hey, look, I'm broke now.
Yeah, I'm no longer making that kind of money.
I ain't got no job. I'm out here with a broken ankle. And then they would have made the alteration. Instead, you never did anything. You said F her, F this, F the kid. And every year they every month they collected $10,000 on your name, on your social security card.
Yep. So it can get very testy.
We have to be responsible. Listen, you want to be responsible, you got to be responsible and accountable, and you have to handle your business.
That's it.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. So I would say prior to this, be responsible and accountable by getting them Jimmy hats. Then you won't have this problem. I'm just saying, I'm just keeping it 100. As a person born in the 70s, when we was growing up in the 80s and 90s, we had a fear. So we kept a Jimmy hat. We had rap songs that was about Jimmy hats.
But for those younger people on the line, Jimmy hats are a reference to condoms. You may not have heard
condoms, protection, keeping you from really.
I ain't that young.
We was probably more than anything focusing on the idea of not catching HIV and AIDS. But it did have a benefit to us not getting having babies, because we was concerned about that. And the day is kind of carefree. The population rate is booming. It's booming, folks. It's booming. Yeah. So I just think we ought to, in this conversation we're having, I know you probably say, how did y'all get talking about who baby it is, the child support? But I think that it is ending in a really good place of talking about who baby this is. Correct. Because this also ends into the place of how child support actually established and how they really come to the ideas of these ideas of who baby this is. Yeah. Because that's the number one telltale sign of who baby this is. When you every month when they waiting for you to pay.
But there's a bright side as well. Now you remember with that finessing thing, because it's very important. You can have a woman or a baby mama that may have been your adversary all that child life. But if you can get her to be your ally, simply put, if you can turn her from an enemy to a friend. And a lot of that happened just on evolution and growth. You both grew. You started, maybe you had a kid when you was 19. Now you're 30-some years old. And that child support been accruing. Then you can get her to actually go and just omit the child support, which means she can actually write a letter or something like, she can go and advocate on your behalf to get that stuff dismissed. Correct. You understand? Right. But again, that's a lot of work that you're gonna have to do, because I've actually seen that actually done. I didn't think you could do it. I always thought that child support was forever, but truthfully, child support is not forever. Mm-hmm. If you can turn that woman from an enemy into an ally. And that's something that's going to take a lot of maturity. That's something that we have the willing to be bite the bullet and put our pride aside and actually do. But again, you should earn that too. Not so much pride aside, but really it should be earned over time. if you guys are making the effort to do your part. And a woman will respect a man to do her part. Sometimes people just need time to grow up.
That's it.
Child support is not always, you know, I've heard numerous positive stories about child support. Sure. And the brother who one time was telling me the story about he had really messed up with the wife. They got a divorce and she had him on child support. And the child graduated from college. Graduated from high school, had an opportunity to go to the college. They wanted to go. They were in a good relationship. They had a good relationship, you know, just raising. And so he was like, well, with the mom, talked to the mom, say, well, we got to figure out how we're going to work this out. Right. And the mom said, no, we don't. And he said, what are you talking about? She said, because I never used any of your child support checks. It's all in the bank account and that money can be used for whatever she got to do for it. The man who was telling me the story said, that man said, man, I need to go remarry her right now. So I'm just saying, not all the time. And we have a very negative connotation about child support. And it's not always, because there are some mothers out here are using it for what the best benefit of the child is. Because some of these mothers don't need your child support. They just want you to do your part.
That's it.
I'm just throwing it in there. Some of them don't need your child support. Some of them ain't using it as a tactic to get you back. Some of them just want you to be, but I think that the maturity on both ends have to be, and that's why I see many times is on both ends understanding that we both got to be mature and remember what's most important is the child. You know, who child this is both of our child. And we have to collaborate, we have to communicate on how we're going to get through to raise this child and continue to support this child after they're 18. Because sometimes we forget that we think they're 18 and it's 18 and done. No. I keep telling people the most important time the children need you is in late 20s.
I'm telling you.
The late 20s when they really need you. Because all fun time over, they looking for like what my guys are. If you already brush your hands at 18, you know, they might still need that guidance from you as a father and a mother. So I tell fathers, you ain't been involved, you can still be involved. Hey, it's never time to stop being a parent.
It's so funny you say that, man, because I've seen so many situations where a father was not involved at all. He completely was never there for the child, never available. And it wasn't because the mom didn't want him. It wasn't one of those situations where she kept him out of their life. He just didn't want to be there. And the child detested their father when they were younger, hated him, and now they become adults. And the father has now matured and realized the fault of his ways. And now he wants to establish a relationship with the child. And oftentimes, although initially it's very rocky, they eventually establish a relationship.
Very much.
Become father and son or father and daughter, whatever it may be. So it is feasible. Like Ron said, it's never too late to be a father to your child. And that's what you want to be as you get older and become more mature and understand whose baby is this. 8:30, Ron, on the dot.
This man right here. Hey, this man. So again, folks, listen. Johnny wrapped us up and brought it back to the end. I just want to say the final thoughts. If you would like to join us, look into the chat. As you look into the comments under this video, you'll see how to get with us tomorrow night on our Fatherhood Talks live meeting with fathers. That's on Zoom, fathers only. So I got to remind that. Sometimes people might come in there, lady coming in, says, what's up? But we want to thank, I want to thank all the fathers for a insightful conversation tonight. Really, really good, gentlemen. And we'll invite everybody back again next week. I think next week is Brenda Got a Baby. Is it next week Brenda Got a Baby? Let me look. Let me take a look.
That's our Tupac trilogy coming.
I don't think next week is Brenda Got. I think next week is no, next week, May 31st is Being King Richard versus Being King Kong.
All right. Remember
Being
that.
King Richard versus Being King Kong. Again, want to thank everybody for joining us again. I would like you to like, share, subscribe, as well as go up to the up in the corner, hit the bell in the corner so you can get reminded when we are going live with Fatherhood Talks. Gentlemen, we will have our chat. Chant, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of honor.
I said that I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I said that I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
I said that I am.
I am.
I said that you are.
You are.
I said that we are.
We are.
Championship
fathers. Championship fathers. Amen to that.
Everybody for joining
Yes,
us
sir.
tonight. And you can be a championship father too. It starts inside your mind.
Amen. My brothers.
Y'all have a blessed evening, man.
Great
And a
night.
good dinner.
Great talk.